Coming back to the 80s, it was Amitabh Bachchan all over, and Amitabh Bachchan was ruling. So Amitabh Bachchan was a genre A in himself, catering to other genres. So if Yash Chopra made an Amitabh Bachchan film, it's a romantic genre film. If a Manmohan Desai made an Amitabh Bachchan film, which is why he's a superstar, right? He wasn't John Wayne or he wasn't James Cagney. He was everything. You put Amitabh Bachchan in a genre and he became the genre with the filmmaker.
Cinema often pulls us into comfort, and in Indian films, this comfort is crafted with care. For example, heroes saving the day, love conquering all, and the narratives that follow similar beats which we have seen so many times happening in Indian cinema. It's a formula that works and it works really well, but every now and then you see a film that wants to step outside of the comfort zone. It does not hold you or reassure you, it actually drags you into the unknown, demands your attention, and refuses to let go. Imagine this. The screen lights up, not with the hero's victorious slow-motion walk, but with the chilling echo of screams, the crunch of breaking bones, and red splashes painting every frame. What unfolds is not the polished heroics of an action star, but raw, unbridled chaos that grips you by the throat. Films like Kill, Marco, and the recently released Fateh don't just depict violence, but they drag you into its visceral, chain-sawing brutality, leaving you breathless and uneasy. And yet they reveal something unique, stories that don't fit under a mold, under a definition. They challenge Indian cinema for what it has been doing for so long by stepping out of the comfort zone. But here's the thing, every genre that has not been explored before needs that one moment of epiphany. It needs that one breakthrough moment where the film shatters the glass ceilings, it bursts into public consciousness and demands a place in the spotlight. Now, Indian cinema has flirted with such moments in the past in multiple genres, but the explosion hasn't happened just yet. And that is why in this video we will look at some of those lesser explored genres by Indian cinema, uncovering films that might surprise you not only for their bold ideas but also the way they execute a certain idea. While some brilliantly brought these concepts to life, there are others who stumbled along the way, offering glimpses of a potential that remains to be explored. So let's begin. While Indian cinema has started to embrace the raw, unflinching, R-rated violence, but as visceral as this physical violence is, there is another kind of violence that cuts even deeper into the audience's hearts. Psychological violence. And it doesn't need fists or weapons, hand-to-hand combat. It wields fear, manipulation, and dread like a scalpel, cutting deeper than any other blade. It's another monster lurking in the mind, the tension that is so suffocating you feel that it is pressing on your chest. Take Raman Raghav 2.0, Anurag Kashyap's disturbing portrayal of a serial killer and morally ambiguous cop locked in a twisted dance of violence. The film is less about the act of killing and more about the sinister undercurrents that ripple between its two protagonists. Nawazuddin Siddiqui's Raman does not stab you outrightly. He will crawl under your skin with his unsettling calm, making every smirk and whisper feel like a knife's edge. And let's not forget Vicky Kaushal's tormented cop, a man so shattered by his own demons that you can't tell where the good guy ends and the bad guy begins. But here's the catch. The film doesn't give you the relief of a hero or a resolution. It leaves you in the muck, grappling you with unnerving realization that the line between the sanity and madness is very thin. Another lesser-known film of this genre is Welcome Home, which is streaming on Sony Live, that tells the story of two census workers trapped in a house that became a maze of abuse and terror. It's a slow, suffocating descent into terror that grips you like a vice. In fact, I actually made a video about this film in 2020. You should definitely check it out. The link must be appearing here on the screen. It's a film that definitely, it leaves you with a lot of dread. And this film, of course, says a lot of other things which you should definitely check out. The film is streaming on Sony Live. But the question is that why don't we see more of this in Indian cinema? Perhaps because it demands patience and subtlety that don't always align with mainstream expectations. It is a rare and risky space, but it is the one that, when explored with conviction, reminds us that the mind is the most dangerous battlefield of all. And let's face it, isn't that far scarier than what a jump scare might throw at you? Brace yourself, because next month we are about to witness the ultimate action epic, Badass Ravi Kumar, or perhaps the most gloriously self-aware takedown of every over-the-top action trope we have ever seen. When a hero can intimidate villains with a single eyebrow twitch and vehicles explode in slow motion for no reason, you know that you are not just watching a movie, but you are stepping into a wonderfully absurd world of parody cinema. And that is the point. A parody doesn't just entertain, it pokes fun at the very conventions that we have grown to love and sometimes roll our eyes at. It's a genre that dares to laugh with cinema and not at it. It is something that delivers a righteously good time. In other countries, parody films are a staple. From Airplane to Scary Movie and even the Naked Gun series, filmmakers have long used the genre to tickle audiences while paying homage to the cliches they love to mock. But in Indian cinema, parody is still a rare gem, often buried under the weight of serious storytelling. Take Quick Gun Murugan, a spaghetti western spoof with a South Indian twist. Picture a gunslinging cowboy clad in a dhoti shouting lines like "Mind it" as he takes his nemesis, the villainous Rice Plate Reddy. The film embraces every ridiculous trope of Western and Tamil cinema, blending them into a deliciously over-the-top cocktail. It's absurd, it's self-aware, and it's endlessly entertaining. And then there is Tamil Padam, and I'm so sorry if I'm pronouncing it incorrectly, but it's a satire that pulls no punches and lampooning Tamil cinema's obsession with larger-than-life heroes. With scenes like the protagonist defeating an entire army by simply staring at them, or the parody of melodramatic family reunions, it's a masterclass in playful exaggeration. But what makes it brilliant isn't just the comedy, but it is the way that it understands the heart of the genre that it is teasing, delivering a loving critique rather than a mean-spirited jab. Parody cinema works because it gives us permission to laugh at the stories we hold dear. It says, yes, this is ridiculous, but isn't that what makes it great? And in an industry that often takes itself too seriously, parody is a refreshing reminder that sometimes the best way to honor cinema is to have a little fun with it. Science fiction in Indian cinema often strives for grandeur, from Koi Mil Gaya that came out in 2003, which brought aliens to Bollywood with emotional drama, to last year's Kalki 2898 AD, and for that also we made a separate video on our channel. These films showcase epic battle sequences across space and time, and Indian sci-fi loves the larger-than-life narratives. These films typically rely on high stakes, sweeping visuals, and heroic journeys, most importantly, delivering awe-inspiring spectacles in the theaters. But there is another lesser-known facet of science fiction that thrives not on grandeur but on absurdity, and that is the sci-fi mockumentary genre. While traditional sci-fi dazzles with futuristic technology and epic conflicts, sci-fi mockumentaries take the grounded, humorous approach. They juxtapose the extraordinary with the mundane, asking, what if the most astonishing events collided with our most ordinary circumstances? Imagine aliens landing not to wage war, to offer peace, but to visit a roadside tea stall. Or consider interstellar travelers funding their mission through crowdfunding resources. It's this unique blend of the surreal and the everyday that defines the sci-fi mockumentary genre. Take Gaganachari, a delightful addition to this rare category. Set in 2050s Kerala, the film takes the concept of alien encounters and anchors it to local quirks and humor. I'm not going to explain the plot any further. This is one of those films where the less you know, the better it is. The charm lies in how it reveals its absurdities layer by layer as you immerse yourself in its world. What makes sci-fi mockumentaries so different and special is how they focus on the human element. They don't rely on visual effects or high stakes to impress the audiences. Instead, they zero in on how hilariously unprepared they are and we are for the extraordinary to happen in front of our eyes. By blending satire, wit, and the occasional touch of absurd realism, sci-fi mockumentaries like Gaganachari remind us that sometimes the most fascinating stories are not about saving the world, but they are about how hilariously flawed human beings are and how actually react to the idea of it. And if you're ready to explore this side of science fiction, which is as funny and as inventive, then you should definitely watch films like Gaganachari. Now, magic realism is a genre like any other. It does not take you to a different world, but it transforms the one that you already know, which is your current world. It thrives on contradictions, merging reality with the fantastical in ways that feel natural, as if the extraordinary belongs to the ordinary. Now, in magic realism, magic is not a spectacle, it is a matter of fact of the narrative itself. It's a part of the narrative. A man may sprout wings, a ghost might join dinner, or a woodland creature might quietly disrupt a marriage, and none of this feels out of place in a narrative like that of magic realism. This genre invites the audiences to look beyond the logic into a realm where the mystical is not only possible but it is inevitable. The power of magic realism lies in its ability to illuminate deep human truths through the lens of the surreal, and it's a genre that uses the unexplainable to address what we often cannot articulate: grief, love, identity, transformation, and so on. And that is why magic realism often feels deeply emotional. It is resonating with us on a level that is beyond rational understanding. Globally, magic realism has flourished in films like Pan's Labyrinth, where a young girl escapes the horrors of the Spanish Civil War through a fantastical underworld, or The Shape of Water, where a mute woman falls in love with a mysterious amphibian creature, blending the mundane monotony of her life with an otherworldly romance. And in Indian cinema, magic realism is rarer but no less poignant when it appears. Fairy Folk tells the story of Ritika and Mohit, a couple lost in the monotony of their marriage. Their emotional disconnection has become routine, neither willing to confront it nor bold enough to change it. Enter a mysterious, genderless woodland being whose silent presence catalyzes their self-reflection. This being doesn't solve their problems or offer mystical advice. Instead, it gently forces them to confront their truths, uncovering the buried complexities of love and desire. Similarly, we have What We Imagine as Light, that uses magic realism to explore societal constraints and personal liberation. It follows a woman trapped in the societal approval of her arranged marriage while silently judging her roommate's unconventional love affair. As her carefully constructed moral framework begins to collapse, the film transitions into dreamlike sequences that blur the lines between reality and imagination. These moments don't demand any explanation, they are metaphors brought to life, visualizing the woman's journey towards self-realization and acceptance. Both these films embody the essence of magic realism by using its fantastical elements not as an escape but as a way to probe deeper into human emotions and societal constructs. The genre allows filmmakers with broader, more investigative strokes to create stories that resonate universally while remaining deeply personal, which is quite interesting. Home, where you are supposed to feel safe. But what happens when that same sanctuary is violated, when the rules of those sanctuary is violated? The home invasion genre thrives on fear, and it turns the familiar into the nightmare. It is not just about the physical threat, but the psychological threat that unravels as the story proceeds. At its core, it is asking unsettling questions like, what would you do if your world was intruded upon? How far would you go to protect what's yours? And perhaps most disturbingly, it is asking the question that, what will you do to survive? What is the extent that you will go to in order to survive? Therefore, these films are not just about the thrill of the chase or the tension in hiding. They are about the primal instincts of human beings that emerge when our very foundations are threatened. In Varatan, a couple moves to a remote village seeking peace but faces escalating harassment from intrusive neighbors. The film masterfully blends tension, turning subtle threads into a full-blown, harrowing assault, layered with sharp social commentary. Kala takes a different route where the invader forces the protagonist to confront buried guilt and unresolved trauma. The ensuing clash is not just physical but a brutal reckoning with his own flaws, making survival a question of both body and soul. And if you want to know more about Kala, we have a video of that as well on our channel. Still, what makes the home invasion genre so compelling is its universality. You don't need a sprawling canvas or elaborate setups. The fear of intrusion is something we all share. The genre thrives on simplicity: a single house, few characters, and an ever-tightening grip of suspense. But within the simplicity lies endless potential for storytelling that is as gripping as it is thought-provoking. Let's talk about dystopia, which is a genre that takes the world we know and strips away the comforts. It's a vision of a society where everything has gone wrong. It is a future that has been shaped by greed, oppression, and our own inability to change. These stories often feel uncomfortably close to reality, making them both fascinating and deeply unsettling. A dystopian tale is not just asking that what if things go worse, but it is asking the question that where are we headed? What are we doing? कौन है हम लोग? कहाँ से आते हैं और कहाँ जा रहे हैं? These are the questions that the genre of dystopia is trying to ask us. Now take Matrubhumi, A Nation Without Woman, a gut-wrenching example of dystopia in Indian cinema. Set in a future where female infanticide has wiped out women from a village, the film explores a world devoid of balance, compassion, and humanity. The story unfolds in grim, suffocating silence, forcing you to confront the horrifying consequences of gender imbalance. Through its bleak lens, Matrubhumi becomes a haunting commentary on patriarchy and societal decay. More recently, dystopia has begun finding a louder voice in Indian cinema. Kalki 2898 AD offers a grand, visually stunning take on a crumbling future, blending mythology with futuristic elements. Similarly, Ganpat, let's just forget that this film exists, but yeah, you know what I mean. However, dystopia is not just about bleak visuals or oppressive regimes, it is also about what remains of humanity in the face of despair. Still, it is not a genre for the faint-hearted. Watching dystopia means confronting uncomfortable truths about yourself, which is not just a hypothetical future. Like all of the things that happen in a dystopian genre film is not something that might never happen. It dares us to reflect on how close we might go to these grim realities. In Matrubhumi, the absence of women is not a far-fetched concept. It is a direct consequence of systematic issues that we have been facing since time immemorial, and that's what makes dystopia such a powerful genre. Now let's talk about the genre of alternate history, which is built on a tantalizing question. What if things had begun differently? What if things had gone differently? It takes pivotal moments from the past and reimagines them with altered outcomes, creating stories that explore how a single change could reshape entire societies, cultures, or destinies. By blending historical fact with imaginative speculation, alternate history gives us the freedom to reflect on what we have been contemplating about what we could have become, what could have happened to us. Tamil cinema has dabbled with this fascinating genre in films like Hey Ram, directed by and starring Kamal Haasan. The film presents a provocative reimagining of Mahatma Gandhi's assassination, delving into the complexities of communal violence and personal revenge. It challenges viewers to consider how deeply history has shaped by human emotions and actions. Through its alternative lens, Hey Ram forces us to question how fragile and malleable the course of history truly is. Another standout is Ayarathil Oruvan, directed by Selva Raghavan. This film reimagined the fate of the Chola dynasty, blending history with fantasy and adventure. Following a group of explorers searching for a lost Chola civilization, the film uses its speculative premise to explore themes of loyalty, heritage, and survival. The fusion of historical elements with a fictional twist makes it a striking example of the genre's potential. Alternate history just works because it offers a new perspective on the familiar by rewriting historical events. It is not just here to entertain you, it is also prompting to think critically about the choices and the circumstances that will shape our world. Alternate history films are so much fun because they let us escape the constraints of reality and explore a world of endless possibilities. They let us see how small changes in the past can actually create massive ripples in the present, sparking out curiosity about the cause and effect relationship that shapes our world. They are a playground for creativity where filmmakers can let their imagination run wild, creating vibrant worlds that are as mind-bending as they are engaging. I would like to know now from you, which is that one film or which is your list of films that you think created a major difference in Indian cinema, that did something unthinkable in Indian cinema. I can think of Tumbar, but I'm sure there are a lot many other films. But I would love to know that from you in the comments below. Don't forget to like and share this video. Subscribe to Long Live Cinema. As always, long live cinema, and we will see you very soon.